And a short time ago, I was joined from our Melbourne studio by former AWU official Ralph Blewett. Mr Blewett, you just heard what the Prime Minister had to say about you in the Parliament today. Why should anybody believe what you have to say?
Well, in response to that, I would say this. Julia Gillard has been labelling this a smear campaign. I think it's a bit hypocritical of her to now come out and try and smear me, to detract people from the main event here. They are going to try and tear down my integrity, my honesty. Okay, I think everybody is guilty of some things in their life. None of us are pure.
Was what she said accurate?
Some of it was stretching the truth.
All right, well, let's get to the substance of the allegations. Whose idea was the slush fund?
Slush fund was the mastermind of the slush fund was Bruce Wilson.
And what was your involvement in that?
I was his deputy, his trusted lieutenant.
How much money did you personally receive via that slush fund with Mr Wilson?
Personally, I had no financial gain whatsoever.
So what was in it for you then?
Keeping my job.
So elaborate a little bit more on that. If you didn't go along with these illegal activities, you would lose your job.
I joined Mr Wilson in 1987 in the union. We then rolled the old guard of the AWU in West Australia, and Wilson came to me and said, "You're either with me or you're against me, your choice." This was very early in the piece, back in the late 80s. I saw him as being a charismatic person with the best interests of the union at heart, with similar aims and aspirations to look after and work in the best interests of the AWU membership. So I hooked up with him. We both had the same ideals for the future of the workers that we represented. I then teamed up with him and helped him through that. So
you're saying you didn't get a cent through that fund?
I might have had the odd beer or dinner out with Wilson occasionally, but I personally didn't get any financial reward in any way, shape or form.
Do you accept that $100,000 from that fund was used to buy a house in your name in Fitzroy?
Yes.
Did you know that at the time?
Yes.
What happened to the funds from the sale of that house?
No idea.
You didn't receive the funds from the sale of that house?
No.
You said you didn't receive any benefit from the fund, yet $100,000 from the fund was used to buy a house in your name, so that is a benefit.
I was used as a vehicle by Wilson. He had complete control over that. The house was purchased in my name so as he could distance himself from it, just the same as with the establishment of the Corporate Affairs Commission document. He used my name to distance himself from it.
So if you were a vehicle and you didn't receive any money from the funds, why then do you need immunity from the police?
Because I was a party to the fraud. I think that's obvious, isn't it?
Who are the people that you say you have evidence against? No
comment.
And why no comment?
That document and my evidence has been given to the police under advice from my lawyer that they're the only parties should have that evidence at this point in time. There are persons of interest that the police would like to interview, and I've been asked not to disclose who they are.
All right. Did you provide the Victoria Police with information about Julia Gillard?
We provided the Victoria Police with a complete dossier of files which show documents that certainly connects Julia Gillard to having a hand in the establishment of the AWU Workplace Reform Association in WA and other matters.
She's admitted that she had a role in the establishment of that fund. What are the other matters?
No comment.
Do you understand how people watching this might think, well, you're out here insinuating that Julia Gillard's done something wrong, yet when I ask you for specifics of it, you say no comment?
Well, you know, there's a legal position here. I have to look to myself. I've stuck my neck out here, and I don't intend to make public information I've given to the police.
On the weekend, Bruce Wilson said that the Prime Minister had done nothing wrong and that she knew nothing about what had been going on. What do you say to that?
I say this to Bruce Wilson: I welcome you coming out in defence of the Prime Minister along with Nicola Roxon. You've both declared her not guilty. Let's pack up our bags and go home, case closed. Then I go on to say, if you are so certain, Mr Wilson, that she has nothing to answer, then you should immediately release Nick Stein-Brown Slater and Gordon and another law firm, Morris Blackburns, of client privilege confidentiality. Notify them that you wish to allow them to release any documents or files that they have. If there's nothing to hide there, there's nothing to stop you doing that.
Well, you said earlier that Bruce Wilson was the mastermind and you basically had to go along with it because you were in his employ. Surely then he would be the person who would know whether Julia Gillard knew anything or not.
That's right.
Well,
that's a question he has to answer.
Well, and he said she doesn't know anything.
Well, let him support that by releasing the releasing the lawyers that may have files with his and my name on them from client privilege.
On your Facebook page, you like a group called Julia Gillard, Worst PM in History. You also like Larry Pickering, who publishes putrid innuendo about the Prime Minister. Given your support of those two things, is it a logical conclusion that you have an agenda here, an anti-Gillard agenda?
No, I don't. I follow and if you look on there, you'll see that I like supporting campaigns for breast cancer awareness and stamp out pedophilia and all that sort of thing, and all those other causes that I support. I support the current cause that people are defaming and trying to tip buckets on veterans and on current serving members. I support campaigns that are anti Australian forces serving in Afghanistan. This whole range. What you've done is, and people have done, is selected a couple of items that I just happen to visit and read for a bit of a laugh. I'm not using them as a vehicle.
So you don't think Julia Gillard's the worst Prime Minister in Australian history?
I think she's got some problems. She's not the best and she's probably not the worst.
Have you got a vendetta against her?
Nah.
Who's paid for your trip to Australia?
My out-of-pocket expenses only are being paid by Harry Nowicki.
And who's financing Harry Nowicki?
I've no idea. I think it's from his own personal bank account.
Doesn't strike you as odd that a complete stranger's financing all of this for you?
Not really. He's writing a history of the book. He's uncovered something of quite significance. He wants to pursue it. He's fanatical about it. I don't know what's in his head.
Does it bother you that he's fanatical about it?
No. He wants to write a book. He wants to write a book of the history of the AWU from 87 to 95. This happens to fit in that period. Obviously, it's of interest.
Have you asked him why he wants to spend all of this money? Is he paying for your lawyer as well?
He's picking up all out-of-pocket expenses at this point in time, yeah.
So it's a lot of money.
I don't know how much. I've got no idea.
I'd guess tens of thousands.
All it is for me is, well, all it is for me is an airfare and a few nights' accommodation. That's not serious money.
Ralph Blewett, thank you very much for making time to speak to us today.
Thank you.